Hi, I'm Neal Brennan, and you're watching Don't Be Alone with Jake Hogan.
Don't be alone with Jake Hogan.
Hey, Don't Be Aloners. It's me, Jake Hogan. Ryan, he giggled. You liked that one. All right. It's me, Jake Hogan, and you're here on Don't Be Alone with Jake Hogan, and it's a spectacular show for you today. Unlike all those other days with all those terrible shows. But before I get to my guest, which is probably a big secret because you couldn't possibly have seen the name of the guest before you clicked Let Me Listen. But on the chance that you're just a listener who always listens, you click in no matter who it is, I'm going to save it as a little surprise for the three of you who do that. But I just want to thank all of you for subscribing to the show. The people who subscribe are my favorite people. And we're getting more and more subscribers every month, and I'm happy about that. If you have any questions or comments that you'd like to give me, please email me at dbawjk@gmail.com. I love your viewer mail questions that I ask here on the show. Please send me your viewer mail questions for me and my guest, even though you don't know who the guest is. Just a general question for your life that you want two random strangers to answer. How hard is that? It's easy. So today's guest is somebody I'm really excited about. This is a guy I'm a huge fan of, Neal Brennan. Neal is a writer, he's a director, but primarily these days he's a stand-up comedian, and his specials on Netflix are fantastic. He's got several of them that are great. The Three Mic special is historic. Block special, also fantastic. And the latest one is called Crazy Good, and it is really, really, well, dare I say crazy good. He's been through a lot. He's had quite a journey, fighting depression, fighting different issues in his life, and he's gotten to kind of a happy place right now. And I want to find out all about that and about his method and what he thinks about comedy and what he thinks about me starting to perform maybe sometimes. So we'll hear all about that right after this.
Don't be alone with Jake Hogan.
Neal Brennan, I'm going to do an official introduction. Thank you for being here.
My pleasure.
You're not only one of my favorite comedians, a great writer, but you're like a podcast guy. Like you've had 3 podcasts.
I guess I'm the thing about podcasts are, though, they're not center in my life. Like they've always been like, yeah, let's do this. But I've never been like, listen to my podcast.
Right.
Obviously, listen to my podcast.
But I do listen
I think
to your
that goes without
Blocks.
saying.
Your
Yes.
podcast Blocks is a fantastic podcast.
Thank you very much.
It has a certain weird depth to it that you don't expect from this kind of.
I don't think it's weird at this point.
Okay.
I think.
Well, just so you know, this is going to be very shallow.
Sure.
Yeah.
The patron saint of Depp, Mark Maron, has he cleared the path
I guess.
for all of us to come. I mean, at a certain point,
what-
there's an arms race of who can be the most vulnerable. That's a new showbiz talent.
Right.
Is vulnerability.
I guess.
In the last 10 years, it's
right.
like it's a thing.
I'm banking on it.
I mean-
because I am willing to be very vulnerable all the time. And you seem to be.
Is that true?
Yeah. I seem like that's something I can do, which is be.
Did you always
super
do it?
honest? Kind of, yeah. Like
Did people like it?
sometimes and sometimes not. You know, if you wear your heart on your sleeve too much, people get annoyed.
But again, that's not really a comedy writer's
No.
top trait.
No, I'm not the sort of the walled off comedy writer. I mean, well, take that back. I am walled off emotionally
Sure.
to other things, but I am willing to be honest and forthright about who I am and what my issues
I'm
are.
wearing a button down with a t-shirt under it
That's
as
good.
a tribute to comedy writers.
Thank you very much.
Let me button it up.
But Mark Maron, when I listen to Mark Maron's podcast, I feel like he's talking mostly about Mark Maron.
Well,
when I'm
that's
hearing
that's a whole other
Blocks,
issue. But
you're really
yes.
insightful into your guest. I just heard Carol Leifer.
Yeah.
And you're just like,
I wanted to know about why she became a lesbian.
you're zooming in on who she.
The truth is, I'm just nosy.
Right.
I'm nosy, but I also think I don't care about small talk, and I feel like showbiz is pretty well covered. in terms of like when people, sometimes people DM me like, how do I become a comedian? I'm like, dude, if you don't know, if you still don't know,
right,
when there's thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of hours of people explaining their process, like you're faking.
True.
Or you're too dumb.
But the people aren't really asking how. They're just like, what's the secret? What I don't have to do any work to get
They're saying, hey, how can I become you without having to waste that 30 years?
Exactly. And how do they?
Well, I'm here to tell you.
There is no way. Well, I am happily listening to the podcast. I've been a big fan of your comedy specials.
Thank you.
And they're really good. Even the funny, even the not sad one.
The not sad one.
The not sad one, which was great
on Netflix.
That's the last one. Crazy good. But you know, people talk about blocks and three mics too in another way, because all of those three specials have their own artistry to them. They're not just I'm going to tell jokes. They feel like you're giving us more than that. And that is pretty cool.
The first two, yeah. The last one, I can't really say that. Not like there was no artistry. I guess it's just more.
You're standing in front of what seems to be synapses.
They seem like synapses to some people.
Yes.
To other people, they seem like tree branches, and to other people, they seem like blood vessels, and to other, which it's almost intentional.
All right.
Yeah, that's the only artistry, and that was expensive, by the way. I would like to let the people know.
Right.
That backdrop. You go, what is that? Was that 10 grand? Nope, higher.
Right.
That came out of my pocket.
Right.
So I hope you liked it.
I did. I really did
Thank
enjoy
you.
it, and I enjoyed the color change through the.
Yes.
It was
Thank you.
Very thought out, very beautiful.
Yes. Thank
very
you.
nice. And you also told most men how to have sex properly, give orgasms to their
There's a better way.
gals.
There's a simple way where you don't blow it at the end, or
Right.
don't just you can if
Right.
you're consistent. There is a way.
Right. ARF, right?
ARF, that's correct.
That's right.
Angle, rhythm, and force.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
This is. I was sitting there watching the special with my son, and I hope that he's 23.
Wonderful.
I hope that he really got the message.
Well, I did the special in front of my mother.
Okay.
So God bless.
That's fantastic.
But maybe she's got 10 kids, so she understands ARF.
Well, Neal, you're so kind to be here, and I'm really grateful. I would like you to know that the show, Don't Be Alone with Jake Hogan, is about me talking about my problems. So
Great.
welcome.
Great.
So you're here to solve two.
And you're pretending it's about other people not being alone?
No, it's only about me
It's
not
about
being alone.
you not being alone.
Yes.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah.
We're clear.
Don't be alone.
As long as we're clear
All
on that.
people should not be alone.
Even that, you're talking to yourself. Jay,
Yeah,
don't
exactly.
be alone.
Don't be alone.
Broadcast this.
This is why I do it in person. It's got a face to face.
Fantastic.
I need friends. I need
Great.
friends.
What are your problems?
Well, I have two problems that I think you are particularly suited to help me with.
Okay.
One is,
Great.
am I a writer or am I a performer? I am torn between these two things.
Well, have you performed a lot?
I started.
You are pretty charismatic for a writer.
I started
I'll
out
give you that.
as an actor, as a comedian, and an improviser at the Groundlings, and did all that kind of stuff. And I failed into writing.
Did Conan fail into writing before he returned as a performer? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, a little bit.
I'm
Yeah,
assuming
he did.
he's the same.
Yeah, we
rough
have the same
grade as you?
trajectory. Yeah,
Yeah.
we have the same trajectory. Yes.
The same years ish.
We're the same age. He's a month older than me, but I was a little more advanced. I was at the Groundlings before he was. I started doing stand up before he was.
Well, I kind of think you are whatever you want to.
I want to know, but but you seem to be you're a writer. We're a writer.
Yeah.
And I've heard you say on your podcast that one of the reasons you became a performer was because you wanted to prove your jokes were good.
Yeah, that's pretty true. Like I was in my early 20s, and I was like, I would get rejected, and I was like, I'm pretty sure this is funny. I'm pretty sure I'm funny,
Right.
And this is funny. And then I did stand up once when I was 23, once when I was like 18, once when I was 23, and then 29. I'd like to take long breaks and think it over. And then
I've talked about breaks. I stopped performing stand-up comedy when I was 22, and I'm doing it again on Thursday.
fantastic.
So
What
that's
a break.
about a 36-year break.
Yeah. So it was mostly about like confirming that I'm not crazy.
Yeah.
And so then I then I guess I was a comedian and a writer. Well, yeah, I was a comedian and a writer. I don't know when I never really officially stopped writing. Although I think it was just a matter of Ali Wong, the great Ali Wong, said, stop helping famous people. So around 2020 probably was the last time I helped a famous person.
It's good to help famous people, though. Yeah, it's kind of fun. You get the ride in the jet planes and stuff.
Yeah, but it's sort of diminishing returns. I mean, it's,
right.
You know what I mean? Like, there's certain people. Well, that's one of those things. I don't mind writing for someone who's like, I think is funnier than me.
Right.
Like Ellen, I think is funnier than me. Dave's funnier than me. Like, there's a few people that I'm like, yeah, you're like, you have a skill that I do not have. And so there are a few people that I don't, and I'll still help, not even help. I'll just give somebody like a tag or give somebody something, but I won't. I'm not spending more than 10 minutes.
But that's what good comedians do. That really good comedians give another comedian a tag.
Yeah,
really,
I don't even think I actually have gotten very few tags from, and the ones I have gotten weren't from what you'd consider good comedians.
All right.
What you would consider good comedians. The audience likes them, but like they're not snob comedians.
Oh, yeah, because I'm a snob.
Yeah,
it's true.
So of course you're a comedy writer. So you're an unhappy snob.
Sure.
You're a superior being with an inferiority.
Well, I just happen to be superior.
Yeah.
It's not my fault.
So now I just consider myself a comedian. The funny thing was, Jerry Seinfeld did my podcast, and he said, do you ever have that thing when you're on stage and you go, I'm not a comedian, I'm a writer? And I was like, yeah, I have it.
Right.
Do you? And he's like, oh, yeah. Which is insane.
Right.
Because if he's not a comedian, then who is?
He's the poster for comedians.
I totally agree.
Well, I mean, that's a very interesting thought. And I wonder, I often see performers whose performance style far outpaces their comedy.
Yes, there are the Hall of Fame is, or the Mount Rushmore, whatever you want to say, is all great performers who are also great writers. They're like the overlap is very small, and it is like whoever your favorite comedian is, they're on that list of like. Chappelle's an amazing performer and a fucking amazing writer. So there are certain people that Chris, same thing. It's like he was a great writer, Chris Rock, great writer, and made himself a great performer. Like willed himself into Ellen, great writer, great performer, great, like has perfect vocal pitch for comedy, sounds like a flute, and is like acerbic and funny. Like
she's had that for many
since 1981.
Yeah, exactly. Amazing. Yeah.
And it finally led her to England. As we all saw that coming.
Sure.
Okay.
I don't know. It's weird how America turns on people.
Yeah.
It's kind of strange.
Yeah.
I'm hoping, like, if I get more successful, maybe America will turn on me.
Yeah. I mean, it's getting late in the day, Jay.
When you were a young man saying, I have these jokes and they are funny and they're being rejected and I want to prove the young writer's confidence in their material is a beautiful thing. But as I get older, as I've gotten older, my confidence in my material has waned because I've seen things that I absolutely, positively, 100% thought were going to work over time, and some of them, or many of them, don't always work.
Yeah, and you've convinced a lot of people.
Yeah.
That you and angrily convinced them.
Right.
That like, no, fuck you, this is going to work.
I told I was working for James L. Brooks.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, this is going to work. You're wrong, man.
You old
don't
man.
get it.
Yeah.
You don't get it. And then I would insist my jokes would work. And, sometimes they would, but a lot of times I'd go, oh, sorry.
Yeah.
There's a lot of apologies.
Where did you, on which show?
They worked on the Tracy Ullman Show and The Simpsons.
Yeah, but I'm saying, so The Simpsons, you couldn't tell if a joke worked or not, right?
Well, we only liked it. If we liked it, it worked for us. And if we got a laugh at the read-through, we'd consider that the audience.
Right, but you also know the read-through audience is like not.
Yeah, no, but I mean, we had no other gauge.
Yeah, but I'm just wondering, like, where could you bomb at The Simpsons? That was snobby judgment.
It's one of those
right?
things where, because we rewrote everything so many times, really great jokes died after hearing it 8 times.
Yeah.
And you just have to rewrite that joke.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. So like, is that I mean, obviously it worked.
no, but the
et cetera.
Tracy Ullman show is in front of a live audience.
Yeah.
So I would insist this joke would work or this premise would work. And then if it didn't work, that's on me.
Yeah. And it is confusing
Yeah.
when you're sure and you're like, wait a minute, it was just, you've got a map and you're like, no, it was right here.
Right. Exactly.
I swear.
Right.
The treasure map says to come this way and then there's an X here. And we're,
But that youthful confidence is fantastic. And I don't have it so much anymore.
Yeah, now you have to have wise old man confidence.
Exactly. I'm told by people I respect that and Chris Rock is one of them, that part of being a great comic is not caring if you bomb, not caring so much.
Yeah, I don't. It still stings,
Right.
And I can tell you firsthand, if Rock bombs, he does not like it. Like, you know, it's like it is, the more and longer you do it, the more it's just like, put it on my tab.
Right.
Like I'm still in the black as so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
So you know, I don't like bombing. I don't think it's not. I could do the, you know.
You don't panic.
I don't panic, but it's still bombing.
Yeah.
You're still being rejected by a group of people that you told would do. You had it signed some sort of contract.
Right.
A tacit deal with people. I'll be funny.
Right.
And then you're in breach, standing in front of them.
But sometimes it's their fault, man.
No, I mean, yes, but yes, occasionally, but like, you're better off thinking it's your fault.
No, I do. I think it's my fault. I mean, I changed the joke.
You're talking about when you did it 36 years ago?
Yeah, and when I'm about to do it. It's like, I'll change the joke. If it does not work, and I will absolutely change the joke.
Well, if you tried 3 times and it didn't work twice, it doesn't work.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you.
Right.
I don't know what Chris thinks, but
Right.
I can tell you the shit's not going to work.
Right. But the point is, you have to be okay saying stuff that doesn't work sometimes to just get past.
Yeah, I mean, there's a line in Crazy Good that I did once, and it didn't work, and then I was like, I'm pretty sure that should work, and I tried it on the special, and it worked.
Which one?
It was talking about comedians being like moral arbiters, and I said, like, at what point did people go like, what do the clowns think?
Yes, which is a great line.
I know. When I did it once and it didn't work, and I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
And it was stupid to do it on a live on the second taping, but like,
cut it out.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, but it's fantastic. It was great.
Thank you.
But here's the thing: did you always want to be on stage performing? It doesn't sound like it.
I was always under the impression that I was happy to be a writer. Like I genuinely was. So then once Chappelle Show ended the way it did, and I was like, I gotta figure out a way to exist without dependence on another person.
Right.
And now I guess it's like, did I always want to be a full-fledged comedian? I don't know. I liked writing. I really did like writing for people.
Right, but it sounds like because of what Chappelle ended the way it ended, and I have to trust me. I have to put myself in the driver's seat of what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Which is the same thing as Ali Wong's advice, which is stop
helping famous people. Yes.
Right. By necessity, you kind of become a performer, but not necessarily by dream.
Here's what I think I believe about myself. Are you a John McEnroe fan?
Yeah, sure.
I've read his book, or I think I've read 2 of his books, if you can believe it. But he said that he always wanted to be to play team sports. And then there was something about tennis that he just didn't find. Singles tennis, he didn't care about as much as he cared about doubles more.
Right.
He cared about Davis Cup more. He played soccer for as long as he could.
Right.
He liked being on a team.
Well, he always seems like a go along, get along kind of guy.
No, but that's the funny. I mean, if he'd only played a team sport, he'd be much happier. So it was all a cry for help. So it's still am of the mind that I'm always like, hey, let's all live in a dorm together.
Right.
Let's all live and be on a team, and we're all supporting each other. And hey, I liked introducing people to other people, and this guy's great.
Right.
And I don't. So I think that's what I liked about being a comedy writer. Like, I remember the first writing job I got. I was like, man, this is great.
Yeah,
it was so fun. We were all in a bullpen.
Sure.
It was so cool.
I love group writing. I love being on a staff.
Yeah.
I love hanging out with people. I made the mistake at one point of thinking these are my lifelong friends. Like, you know,
I still make that mistake.
I have people. Conan O'Brien is a lifelong friend.
Yeah.
I have people at The Simpsons who are lifelong friends. Matt Selman is a lifelong friend, and some people who I thought were my friends, and turns out not so. They're not my enemies.
I personally found that very disappointing.
It's a little heartbreaking because there's a little boy in me.
To say very disappointing is an understatement. How it made me feel.
I'm a little boy. I'm a little child in those moments, and that really hurts my feelings.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I'm in the very same boat. I might be the captain of that boat.
All right. Well, it's also being part of community.
Yeah.
Community has real value.
Yeah.
And it's not just the community of people who can help you, or the community of people who are on the way up, and the community of people who are, important. It's the community. It's the wider community.
That's what I mean. The reason I'm here, it's like, because you're Jay Cohen, like, I don't know, like, why wouldn't I? There was a comedian who wasn't paying his openers well. Mm-hmm. And I had an imaginary conversation with him, as most of my conversations are. And I said, if you're not going to pay comedians, who will you pay?
Right.
Like, who are you? If you're not inclined to give another person who, like, what it is to be a comedian, fucking give them a little money to help them out. Like,
even just the going rate.
Right. But but it was kind of like, well, they're not here for you. That was his, I heard that was his MO.
Right.
And it's like, dude, fucking who do you like?
Right.
You'll pay the gardener, but you won't pay a comedian. So whatever.
Yeah.
So I am predisposed to give comedians and writers the benefit of the doubt.
Right. Who was your group you came up with?
Well, that's one of my problems, Chet, is that I don't, my group was, I work the door at a comedy club. The Boston Comedy Club in the early 90s. And like, so it wasn't really my group, but I was 18, Chappelle was 18, a guy named Jay Moore was 19, and then everybody else was like 27,
right?
Which is a big difference. Mm-hmm. And the 27-year-olds were like Louis, Marin, Attell, Jon Stewart, Ray Romano, like Warren Hutcherson, I forget, Sarah Silver. Sarah was more, but she was more their class. Right. And so Dave was kind of my only classmate. Mm-hmm. And then, but I wasn't a comedian. There was just like a lot of extenuating circumstances. And then by the time I become a comedian, Chappelle Show has gone down. So it's like now I'm like a wealthy, people think, producer. Mm-hmm. So that's not really, or like I'm kind of nepotized.
So you're isolating a little bit. You feel a little isolated from.
Yeah, I'm not quite in a group.
Right, I got it.
And then now when people kind of, I still don't think I'm in a group.
All right, well, you're in my group.
Thanks.
You're my group.
Good.
It's a shitty group.
I'm sorry. It's great to meet you for the first time.
I apologize that my group is so shabby. But it's your group if you want it. It
is local. So
I was a doorman at the Improv when I was a young man.
What year?
In 82, 83. Right?
Who was around?
Well, I would watch Jerry Seinfeld walk by, and I would watch
Jay Leno.
Leno was absolutely there, and Maria Bamford was actually there sometimes, and early days of her. The Richard Lewis was huge. That era of people, and it was fun to be there, fun to watch. I got to perform at 3 a.m. or whatever, like the shitty hours. But it was a bad environment. Like it's bad clubs like that for a very young person. For me, I felt weird at.
Why?
I don't drink, don't do drugs.
That's a problem.
And
I say that. Yeah. I'm not even being.
No, I know.
Like not drinking. That's another one of my. It's like I don't. It's hard. People don't like having you around.
Right. So you feel like a burden to people, and it just wasn't right. Down the street, right here at the Groundlings Theater, I was much more at home. That was much more my people. Yeah. Because I learned how to write and learned how to write characters and comedy, but it was just a whole different vibe. And it was sort of like, okay, let's not, there's not drunk people at the bar yelling at you and that kind of stuff. I had to grow up a little bit to feel like I was worthy of hanging out at the Improv.
Yeah, there's a level of hostility at comedy clubs.
When Chappelle Show is going gangbusters. Mm-hmm. My audience is for the 1930s, so I try to use as many snappy phrases.
Strap on your Brooklyn Dodgers hat, folks.
And and Dave bails.
Yeah.
Without warning.
Mm-hmm.
What's that day like? What's the day?
The day
of.
The day wasn't great.
Yeah.
It was.
Are you at work?
I went to work. Was on set, waiting.
Right.
And and he tended to be late, but this was extraordinarily late.
Right.
So then I started texting people, and then I found out where he was, so that I couldn't say anything.
Right.
Where he was, but he wasn't anywhere near.
Right. So now, so you're caught between your loyalty to Dave and the studio who needs to find out. So you're put in an even worse position. So what do you do?
If you can imagine.
Yeah.
I didn't really do anything. I just went home and just waited for it to unfold.
Okay. And when it ultimately unfolded the way it did and said, okay, we're done. How did that go?
It was awful.
Yeah. Were you blamed?
I was sort of blamed in that there was an article where he said that a white person laughed at him in a way he didn't like. I was the only white person anyone knew.
Right.
So I think there were people that were like, well, it had to be him.
Right.
But meanwhile, it wasn't me.
Right.
And even the person who laughed, that's just the way the guy laughed. Like he'd laughed like that for 2 years. So I was sort of blamed, I think vaguely.
All right. So did you have to give back money?
No, I didn't have to give any, but I didn't get what I would have or whatever.
Yeah. That's a bummer. What a bummer. It's a bummer.
I mean, I think it qualified for super bummer.
Yeah. Because when you're doing something and I assume you were enjoying it.
I loved it. Yeah.
And having a great time and having this creative freedom that you almost never get.
Yeah.
And have that pulled away from you is a real drive.
Yeah, I liked writing. I liked having a sketch show, and I liked making sketches, and so it was great to make sketches with somebody that I loved, and it's like I happen to like playing violin. A Stradivarius.
Right.
I love sketches before we did the show. I was scouting. We did a sketch about Kinko's I'd scouted locations to just shoot a sketch at a Kinko's before we were going to do the show. Like, I just like sketches. So it was a cool thing to be able to do. It was a cool cool opportunity.
How did you and Dave ultimately reconcile that?
I don't know that we've officially reconciled that.
Right.
Meaning, like, it's kind of like we just don't talk about it.
Okay.
It's.
I mean, I can certainly empathize and understand if things are going nuts and you feel like you must escape and what. Like, I kind of understand that.
Yeah.
But I come from the school of suffer for the sake of all the people who are working around you. Yeah.
I mean, there's a part of me that respects Dave's commitment, and not a part of me, like a huge part of me, like respects Dave's absolute commitment to quality. Like I was thinking yesterday, where it would just be like he would just chain himself to a tree,
right,
and be like, no, I'm not doing whatever you. There was a buddy of ours, Keith Robinson, had a joke back then about why black people would be bad Al-Qaeda hostages, because it'd be like, cut my head off. Chop it off. I don't give a fuck. Chop my head off. I'm not saying what you want me to say. So
well, that happened to a friend of mine.
Got his head chopped off?
Yeah.
Daniel Pearl?
Yeah.
Yep. Sorry about that.
That's all right. Don't blame you anymore. There was a time.
Of course. I
grew up with Danny Pearl. Danny Pearl grew up elementary school, high school. Yeah. And, he would not say what they wanted him to say, ultimately.
Yep. And So
black people and some Jews.
Yes.
I just want to add that to the list.
So they have one thing in common: Al-Qaeda.
Right.
So I respect that, but it was very, very difficult, and I think still hurts me now.
Right.
Truthfully, if we're podcasting,
we are. Yeah.
I would say still hurts me now, but it's not. It's a at this point it's a dull scar. Whereas for years, I would say maybe a decade, it was an open
wound.
pussing wound.
Okay, so sorry.
Yes.
Yeah, I totally understand that thing. I've the heartbreak of everything in show business, little bits of heartbreak everywhere. You know, when you get rejected or you try to sell a show and the show doesn't get picked up, or you have a show and the show's canceled, and they're all punches in the gut. Yeah. This seems like a particularly rough punch in the gut.
It was like, it was also just that it was so personal. Like the whole show was personal. So there's just nothing good about it. Well, nothing good about the way it ended.
Yeah. But
although we left a sexy corpse.
You did. Great. People love the show.
Yeah.
But you're still, you talk with Dave and okay, that's good. That's important. That's important.
Yeah.
I feel like, and again, this goes back to friendships are more important than work. I do feel that way.
I agree. You live in the wrong town for that, but
I have a second problem that you can help me with.
Go.
Okay. You have famously on your 2 prior specials before Crazy Good, we're talking about how difficult a time you were having with depression and getting through your issues. And again, being a student of yours and listening to your podcast, I hear that you feel better now in general.
Yes.
And that specifically you're feeling better. You did, took a lot of different ketamine things. But gratitude seems to be the thing that you're leaning on.
The long answer is ayahuasca.
Okay, so first ayahuasca, then gratitude.
Yes, it got me to gratitude. Ayahuasca and then weirdly MDMA.
Okay.
Ayahuasca opened me up, and then MDMA got me to gratitude.
I have so many friends who have had positive experiences that way, and a few who have had negative experiences.
Yeah. On ayahuasca or MDMA?
Both.
Yeah.
And sort of like, and I'm interested in
ayahuasca is not for the faint of heart. It can go a lot of different ways.
Right.
It's gone a lot of different ways for me.
Okay. Well, tell me the good of it.
Well, the good of it is with ayahuasca was I was an atheist, and then I became I felt a God force, which I don't
in the
ceremony.
Okay.
And that has lasted.
Okay.
So, and I'm not, and his name is Jesus Christ. No, there's no, it's
Maybe.
non-denominational.
Right? Okay.
It's not about,
it's the thing.
Not,
Pete Holmes talks about this too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then MDMA, I took a few times, and one of the times I was like, forgiving my enemies and sort of like felt very great and felt very loving, and I was like, well, what was the difference?
Right.
What's the difference? Why could I do that on MDMA? And what I realized was because I basically didn't have any cortisol.
Right.
In my brain, and my brain is a pretty good producer of cortisol, the stress hormone.
Mine too.
Yeah. And I realized like I have to figure this out, and the way I did it was I just started ignoring my negative thoughts. I would just like straight up like go no thank you, or just some way.
Well, they say that if you take ketamine or other forms of MDMA, that it allows you to separate out from...
It takes the default mode network offline.
Right. It resets everything. Yeah. And so you're allowed to create new pathways and new thoughts and new ways of being.
But it's not effortless at all. It is like I have to... Now I journal. I was talking to Rainn Wilson about it on somebody's podcast. And I was talking about how Islam has the right idea about praying 4 times a day. And he goes, well, why don't you gratitude journal 4 times a day? And I was like, fine.
Right.
And I've been doing that for over a year now. Yeah. And it's really helpful. It's like it's like self-coaching.
So what makes you've gone through this exhaustive search and you found some measure of peace, which is fantastic, and congratulations. I salute you, and I'll try to walk in those same footsteps at some point. But what brings you to the insight that you had to do that, and the insight I hear when you talk to people on your podcast? You can sit with somebody and identify kind of pretty quickly who they are, kind of what's driving them, what the history was that got them to the thing. Like, that's pretty interesting that you have that ability.
Well, a lot of psychotherapy.
Okay.
BetterHelp slash BetterHelp.com.
So looking at yourself.
BetterHelp.com/Neal.
They are not paying a dime for this show.
So now that's why
BetterHelp is not doing it. The bidet people are not sponsoring it. Nobody.
I'm so sorry.
Nobody.
Tushy.
Yeah.
I think that's pattern recognition, probably just like a little bit of autism, and then
there's a certain amount of empathy, and there's a certain amount of putting yourself in the other person's head. That's a little trick of the trade. That's a little thing that you can do that's kind of nice, I think.
Maybe, I mean, I think that's probably partially being a writer. I mean, I think that is pattern recognition of like, or I'll give myself more credit. Maybe it's a theory of mind of like, what would I think in this situation?
Right.
Like, or curiosity about how someone comes to a, realization or decision. That's what's great about novels, honestly, is it's the only form where you are inside of somebody.
Right. Although
it's not just voiceover.
Yeah, I do first person narration only in all my TV shows.
Fantastic.
Just like,
but even that's
no
like,
dialogue.
Right. Yeah. I know, but even first person narration is just like, I had to get to the docks. It's not like to find my wife's murder. It's so shallow.
It's stupid. No, I know. I teach writing courses. I say, please don't ever have a narrator.
I don't mind a narrator.
I do.
It is organizational.
And don't have your characters talk out loud to themselves. That's a cheat. Son of a bitch.
I've had this discussion with people before. I talk out loud to myself.
I don't care. I don't want to see it in a movie. It's like,
why not?
It feels like a writing. It's just an easy writing cheat. Even though it's real, that sometimes a magical phone call comes at exactly the right time you need it to. You don't do it because it looks like bad writing.
So you don't like when somebody says, "Where am I?" That kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. They wake up in a strange land and then say, "Where am I?"
Who are you? What have you done with my?
We know you're confused at your location. We got it. We got that.
Yeah,
place.
you like when they look at their hand and go and rub their eye.
Action.
Whoa! Now that, my friend, is good writing.
I want action.
Thank you,
I want to see
Professor.
it. All right, so there are questions that people have sent in.
I love it.
So there's time for question time.
I love it.
It's question time.
So what makes something funny?
I still don't know.
No?
I mean, I don't know. It's 1,000 things to make something funny.
Right.
Like it's impossible to even answer that.
Surprise? Surprise? Hyper, extending situations, finding, observing.
Is this a sleep aid?
I guess so.
This is
I don't know.
Melatonin, verbal melatonin.
Maybe.
I don't know. A bunch. If you I don't know. I usually don't. I'm having a hostile response to this, and I don't. I don't.
What's funny
why.
enough? Let me change the question. What's funny enough to be in your act? It doesn't. No joke is going to be 100%.
This is different, and this you might relate to. This is like level of difficulty and original thought. I think those are the two. As a writer, comedian, those are the two things like you aspire to. Right. At least I aspire to. Of like, have I seen this? And if I have, is this different enough? And or is it not derivative? Because at a certain point, you've kind of. Lorne Michaels had said something. I'm sure he says it all the time, but he said it to me one time, which is, he's like, it was a sketch, and I'd seen the sketch 6 times. I'd probably written it myself twice. Like, so there are sort of formats or whatever, but original thought and level of difficulty. Is it like a complex structure?
So you're aiming at quality. Yeah. So I would call that quality.
Yeah.
But how about response? There's some jokes that tear down the house and some jokes that get a milder response.
A joke that tears down the house is the best joke.
Okay.
I have no.
But will you accept?
In fact, I used to argue with Scher about that, which is like, I don't want to nobly bomb.
Right.
There's no
Not a
nobility
bomb, but
in
just
bombing.
like a medium laugh.
Like a New Yorker cartoon laugh.
No, that's a no laugh at all.
Okay, all right,
that's like
great.
Yeah, I don't want to but a laugh, like a moderate laugh versus a big laugh. Like
If it's in the service of a big laugh or it's around a big laugh, then keep it. But otherwise, my favorite story, and I think it's true, is Mike Myers used to just edit Austin Powers movies by audio of like. He would just send like the editors would get the audio of the test screening. Right. Be like, all right, well we have to take this part out.
Right. Yeah.
That would be the barometer. It's like it either works or it doesn't.
Correct. Yeah.
Obviously there's gradients within that, but you know.
Three Mics was a creative take on stand-up special. Very entertaining. What comedian, dead or alive, would Neal like to see perform the 3 mic format?
There was some talk with Netflix about having other people do it. I mean, I think a lot of people have done a version of it without call. I mean, people have gotten more emo in stand-up. I'd love to see great comics do it. Yeah. Dave, Chris, Louis, Mulaney, Jim Jeffries, Bill Burr, Allie, Wanda, Sarah, George Carlin, Bill Hicks, Richard Pryor, Richard Jenny, Mort Saul. I love Mort Saul. But yeah, so I would like any comedian worth their salt to do it.
Was Mort Saul who was growing up?
Well, Mort Saul is apparently he was like a pain in the ass, but in terms of like what he did, he like invented a kind of the way people started doing stand up. He was like the James Dean of stand up in that like he did it in a new way, or the Marlon Brando. And then he volunteered to help solve the Kennedy assassination.
Right. Which was
on his own dime.
Right.
Which is like, I don't know. I can't. That seems like better than doing a USO tour.
I guess.
In terms of, but it was because I don't think you're saying the way you said, I guess, I'm assuming you consider it like a conspiracy theorist.
No, I
approach.
just like, I think it still hasn't been solved. Like it's one of those things where like, okay, you can devote your life to that, or you can try to be funny. I would, Yeah,
fine. I guess I see it as like, he knew the guy and was like, I don't think he saw it as like a continuation of his comedy. I just think it's, if you're inspired, I'm inspired by the fact that he was like, I'm going to do that now.
Right.
Or it's like Dick Gregory, like being a comedian, then being a civil rights activist, and then being a dietitian, and just like whatever you're inspired to do and you do it, that shit's cool.
Yeah. I agree.
Instead of like, I gotta do a sitcom. I gotta like all the stuff you're supposed to do.
Right. Well, you're not supposed to do sitcoms anymore.
Well, now
so thank God
single camera.
we're free of that.
No laugh track.
Turn the tables, Jay, and let Neal ask you what he'd ask you if you were on blocks. Well, that's unfair. That takes research. You got people on blocks. You have people fill out a form. I make people write what their problems are. Exactly.
I made Ken Burns do it.
I love it.
It's pretty great. Fantastic. And he did it.
Yeah, it's great. Are people ever unforthcoming?
Well, I think like certain people just don't want to do it, but I kind of know their blocks anyway, so like, they don't want to. I didn't want to bug Bill Burr because you're like fucking just screaming at me.
Right.
So, but we did it anyway.
Right. You are not a traditional looking performer. You kind of look more normal, like a normal person. I don't know what that means.
It's not a compliment.
Does that help? Does it help your comedy, or do you have to do things to compensate?
Jesus Christ. Is this from a surgeon? Is this from a plastic surgeon?
Maybe.
Beverly Hills 902.
I don't know. I mean, like comedians, generally speaking, there's a wide range.
Who are these beautiful comedians?
Nikki Glaser?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Am I as gorgeous as, say, Chris Rock or Dave Chappelle? I'm not a model.
Right, no.
Like Bill Burr.
No. But maybe it goes to more of what what you said at the beginning, where you sort of like charisma.
Yeah. Like, do I go out and go like, it's star time? Like, exactly. I don't wear a cape to the side of the stage.
That'd be awesome.
No, but I think people don't. I think if you present yourself with charisma or with integrity or something. I don't think people care what you look like.
What's your
I'd
proudest?
rather you look. I try to look as good as I can.
Right.
Sorry, listener, but I don't. I don't think it helps or hurts.
All right. Well, now we have listener mail.
Now it's time for listener mail.
Dear Jay and guest, we all have special skills that help us in life. We use them to move ahead. But as we go through life, those same skills can prevent us from living our best life. What's your superpower that is also your kryptonite? Here's my superpower that's also my kryptonite. I have the ability to step back from a situation and observe the world. And that kind of helps me be a writer. It helps me protect myself from danger and other things, but it also prevents me from being all in emotional situations sometimes. So like my wife,
use a level of remove.
yes, and
Yeah.
that's a complaint I've gotten from certainly my wife and from other people. It's like, well, there's something about you that's not fully all in.
Well, that's another thing that I've been discussing with my lady is, I'm not the empathy machine. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's your role.
Right.
Maybe I'm the, I have my own list of attributes.
Right.
It's a joke I did in Crazy Good of like, it's like a video game character of like, if I have 50 points, I'm not going to have points attributed to one characteristic.
Right.
I'm not going to have them for another one. I have a lot of good attributes.
Right.
Speed with which I can get to empathy about your anger at me, not good.
Right.
It's not gonna be good, but let's look at the good stuff. And I'm not dismissing, but I'm just saying like,
But it's hard to get through the fire of hearing the criticism and it kind of explodes
yes,
in
and
your
my
head.
first instinct
Yeah.
is, who did this to you?
Right.
I'm not gonna go, I'm so sorry, this anonymous man did it. I
Right.
did it.
Right.
And I don't agree that I did it.
Right, exactly. Right. Yeah, and then eliciting apology for something that you don't agree you did
Yes,
is also
I don't.
very
It's
upsetting.
like, well, how could I possibly do that?
Yeah.
How could I possibly do that?
Right. My wife wants an apology and then an apology after the apology. That sounds more,
I'm sure.
sincere.
So to answer my end of it, probably a similar thing of like being analytical and being, anthropological about something.
But it makes us smart and curious and gives us so many other things. So what if we don't connect emotionally to people on a deep level?
You like the money or not?
Exactly. Cha-ching, ladies. Cha-ching. Well, thank you for being here,
It was
Neal.
great to be here.
This is a great honor for me and a slight honor for you. I don't know if you accept it as such, but it's really great that we're here.
Please freeze frame.
I'm a huge fan of
Yeah, thank
all
you, man. I really
of
appreciate
your
it.
writing and of
It
your
means- it
performing
means a
and
lot.
of your podcast and all the great. It's great. And thank you for being here. Please come back next time and don't be alone. Go have fun with somebody in person. All right. Talk to you later. Bye.
Don't be alone with Jake Hogan.